Tripling your savings in 30 days can honestly sound like clickbait, but it's not. I know this because I've done it. And it wasn't by getting a better job, I had to quit my job, or by selling everything that I own. It was by changing how I handled the money that I already had. And today I'm going to walk you through exactly what I did. So a quick context story. I'm a mum of 2 and I was left with over £100,000 worth of debt. Quite a lot of it, not even in my name. I had 0 savings, no emergency funds, and I literally panicked every time some sort of appliance made a strange thumping noise because I would not have had a clue on how to fix that. And I needed to change things, but I didn't have spare cash. What I did have was time, perseverance, the right mindset, which meant that I was able to then rethink about how I used the money that I did have coming in. The truth is, I'll save later is an absolute lie. It's a trap. Every month I would say, I'll save something next month. But then the month ended and I had nothing left, so I'd start again. And it was this vicious cycle. I was literally going hand to mouth. There wasn't any money to save with the method that I was using. It wasn't there. I just would get through the month and pray through that last week and hope that I could effectively maybe have something left at the end to start saving. But it never would. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a very visual person. I need to see something physically in front of me to make it work, to make it happen. Unless it was visual, unless it was active, unless it was urgent, it just didn't happen. And here's the other thing. You don't save by accident. It has absolutely got to be on purpose. And that is true even if you are only saving coins. If you've been on my channel before, you will see that I've got lots of different saving challenges and saving quantities that I work towards. I save the pennies because those pennies saved me at one point. I literally have my penny saving challenge, and that you might think, well, why are you still doing that? Because that was my starting point. That was my go-to when I thought I could save nothing. I've got the other extreme where I'm working towards saving thousands now because I started with the pennies. So here's your step 1, is to create a visual goal. My first job was to write it down. I wanted to save a set amount within a certain amount of time. So you could say to yourself, I want to save £300 in 30 days. At this point, you might think that it's absolutely ridiculous, but I did this. So I wrote down to save £300 in 30 days. Then I stuck that goal on my fridge, but it didn't just stop there. I stuck it on my bathroom mirror. I put it on my wardrobe door, so every time I opened it, I saw what my goal was. It was my visual reminder. And the other key point, I put it in my purse. So every time I wanted to buy something, I would look in my purse and think twice. In fact, sometimes I'd think 3 or 4 times, because if I'm taking money out, I'm taking myself one step away from saving the amount that I'm working towards. Every single decision I made, from snacks to subscriptions, had to pass the test. You would ask yourself, does this help me reach my goal? If the answer is no, then it wasn't bought. Step 2 is to remove your leaky points. I went through my bank and went through every single subscription, every single external going out payment that was on there. I sat with a highlighter and honestly nearly cried.
£7.99 here, £2.50 there.
Amazon takeaways. It was the literal death of 1,000 small transactions. I cancelled 3 apps, paused subscriptions, and made one rule. No online orders unless 48 hours had passed. Because in 48 hours, if I still feel the same way about the item in my basket, then it gets a little bit more thinking time. Maybe I do actually need or want that item. Honestly, this method saved me about £92 just in that first month. Step 3 is a 30-day zero spend personal challenge. This is something you can do at any time. It does not need to be the start of the year. It doesn't need to be the middle of the year. It doesn't need to be the first of the month. You could start this tomorrow. You could start this on a Wednesday. You could start this the day before you get paid. It doesn't matter when you start it. You decide what is going to work for you. And it's got to be then a challenge of 30 days of no unnecessary spending, just the essentials. No takeaways, no random Tesco runs because you're a bit bored, no impulse buys. I printed out a little tracker, and if you want to grab yours, I'm going to link it for you down below for free. And I colored in every single 0-day spend that I had, And I used to do this on my channel all the time. So you probably would have seen this happening live in some of my videos. And it was such a motivation. And I would work towards, can I do 30 days no spend? Can I do 20 days no spend? How many consecutive days can I do no spend? Because this was sort of a follow-on from when I did a full 30-day no spend challenge. And then it gets really exciting. You sort of get into a bit of a competition with yourself and you want to do more and you want to do well, especially when you start to see the savings. And I love the colouring in bit or the little stamps. I used to do those as well. And that was like my little reward. It was so motivating. It felt like winning every single time. Every single time I wanted to spend, I would ask myself, can this wait? And 9 times out of 10, the answer was yeah. Step 4 is the cash envelope flip method. I started to use the cash stuffing method. I started to put my money into envelopes for groceries, for fuel, for eating out, for the children. But then crucially, there was also one for saving. And this was the game changer because I would pay myself first. As soon as that money came into my bank account, I would take out all the fluid spending that I was going to do, the things I just mentioned in those envelopes, and I would put the cash physically into the envelopes, including the one for savings. So it didn't matter that if I got to the end of the month, I'd run out because my savings envelope was already working towards growing. And in the same way, because I'd already planned my budget and I knew what I was going to spend on groceries and petrol and whatever else I was planning on spending my money on, it was already there, and that was a more conscious effort on my part. Even at times when I was doing this and that savings envelope only had £5, it was £5 more than I'd had the month before, and the month before, and the month before that, and all the months that preceded it. It was £5 that I never anticipated being able to do. It was £5 I could never do at the end of every single month when I had none left to save. And psychologically, it flipped how I saw money. Savings stopped being, I'll save whatever's left, and they started becoming non-negotiable. Step 5 is my found money funnel. Any extra pennies I found, whether that be literal pennies I found out on the street, on the floor, or whether it's money from cashback, from shopping, selling on Vinted, Facebook Marketplace, random birthday money that might come in, or whatever I'd done that meant that I got money in I wasn't expecting from a normal monthly wage, it would go straight into savings because it was money I wasn't expecting. It was money that I hadn't included in my budget. It was money that actually I didn't need because I'd already planned and worked out how my month was going to go with the money that I'd earned. I didn't let it disappear into the general pot of wonder. That £10 I got for returning a pair of shoes would go straight into my savings jar. And here is what I found as well. Those little pots, those little goals that you've got, they fill the fastest. And when they do, that is when you start to feel like you're winning. Step 6 is the daily check-in ritual. Every night before bed, I would do a quick 2-minute check-in, have a look, how much have I spent today? Did I get to put anything extra into my savings? What can I do better tomorrow? Did I fail on anything today? It's kind of like the same ritual as brushing your teeth, but financially, and it honestly helped me keep track. I used to have that fear of looking over my bank account, but now it became exciting and I wanted to see how much I had saved, and it wasn't that scary thing that once upon a time it happened. So my 30-day results. I started with nothing, and after 30 days of this plan, I had over £300 saved. It might have been that I physically started with just £5 going into my savings, but because I was consciously aware of how much cash I had, I realised I started underspending. I underspent on those groceries because I didn't want to spend that cash. I found money from different places, and if I sold things, that again went into the savings. And even though they were the small amounts, those small amounts started to add up. When you think about something like groceries where it's so easy to overspend, then once you can do it on a reduced budget, there's suddenly so much more that you can put towards those savings. And because you're doing it like 3 or 4 times a month, then each opportunity that you had then was another time to save. Honestly, I can't tell you how elated and emotional it made me feel when I finally made that turning point, when I finally hit that first goal. It was like finally building the first buffer and not just surviving. If I had to reflect on what I would do differently for this, the only thing I can think of is that I wish I had started it sooner. I wish I had had this mindset of finances and money and pre-allocating cash into the pot and the places that it needs to go to do its jobs rather than leaving it so much later on. I had spent years thinking I needed to earn more to save more, but you don't. You just have to manage it differently. And the sooner you begin, the easier it gets, I promise. If you do want to try this yourself, maybe you want to switch up your goal, you think £300 is too ambitious or you think it's not ambitious enough, you can grab my 30-day free tracker down below. Stick it somewhere you'll see it, somewhere that is going to motivate you. Make the goal visual and make it daily. It helps, I promise. Comment down below, what is your current saving goal? Let's cheer each other on. And if you do want any other envelopes or saving challenges or trackers like the ones that I use, you can definitely check those out on my Etsy store, all handmade and tested by me. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you've enjoyed this video, and have yourself an amazing day. And I'll see you real soon. Bye.